Platform Earth is something that's born out of a collaboration between art and science. It's where scientists can meet artists, and artists can see the great work that scientists are doing in restoring marine environments that capture vast amounts of carbon. So this part of Carbon 2, curated by Nadja Romain, Richard Wadhams, and myself, really gives the artist the possibility with engaging with new materials. In this case, this carbon negative ink derived from air pollution. Exhaust fumes in New Delhi, in India, engineered at MIT, provided to the artists, and each artist individually takes the inks and interprets this particular paper in different ways. So we've got Marina Abramovich here with Earth Tree, Nigel Cook's very beautiful mastery of actually using the ink. Then Brian Eno's absolutely wonderful piece. I mean, he put his foot into the ink and put his foot down, called it Carbon Footprint. And we present the artworks here in Venice. The artworks are on sale. The proceeds of the sales fund marine conservation. We're on the front lines of climate change here in Venice. In the lagoon, there's a massive lagoon. It's the second biggest in Europe. And what we do is we pay marine biologists to transplant seagrass from high density to low density areas. And they have an incredible success rate in doing so. This 500 square kilometer lagoon is home to 43 square kilometers of natural salt marsh. It captures 15 times more carbon than terrestrial forests. This is again, it's an artwork based for a Miami-based environmental marine park. So there's a larger version which is going to be placed into the ocean. So I started experimenting with these new carbon negative materials, which are essentially captured CO2 from the atmosphere, turned into a mineral, and the mineral is actually placed inside the material that the heart's made out of. So it's embodied carbon in rock form. As creators, we really like to engage with the scientists and see how we can potentially creatively help with nature-based projects, which are also educational.
Beneath this surface, there is a hidden world of salt marshes because the Venetians built this city on island and salt marshes. So actually here we are really on the shoulders of the past. Salt marshes were the past of the Venice Lagoon. Salt marshes are the present of the Venice Lagoon, even if they now have a limited extension, and we want them to be the future of the lagoon. So we want to preserve these 43 square kilometers. We want to build new marshes, and this is because they provide a number of ecosystem services which are benefits that nature provides to humans. So they filter nutrients and pollutants, they are the paradise of biodiversity, and they can sequester CO2 from the atmosphere, they can sequester carbon, and they can store it in their soils for centuries to millennia. And the rate at which they can do that is 30-50 times faster than tropical or temperate forest. And this is something that is unknown. So we want to, bring people attention on this issue.
We know that salt marshes produce a lot of ecosystem services, therefore benefits to society. But what's their value? What's their economic value? How can we measure in monetary terms so that we can talk to the policymakers and give them the same currency, the same measurement metrics to compare scenarios? For instance, shall we enlarge the airport in Venice so that we know the benefits it might bring? More money, more profits, more tourists. Or shall we keep the salt marshes? But then we don't know the benefits. We have to have the same metrics, and so that's what we invented in the last decades, methods to measure in monetary terms the benefits that nature produces.
Every square kilometer of marshes can sequester 360 tons of CO2 every year. So we have 43 square kilometers, so this is about 12,000 tons of CO2 every year. Okay, now, the Venice airport has a huge solar plant, and it produces, theoretically, at the maximum, 1,000 megawatt per hour every year. And this helps the airport to save about 550 tons of CO2, 2 square kilometers of marshes, they make a better job.
The marginal cost of an extra ton of CO2 we produce is around $100. Overall computed, we know that in 2020 the value of the benefit related to carbon sequestration by the Venice Lagoon was around $6 million, which is an amount that we can produce to the policymakers, to the investors. So we say, look, we have solid methods that allow us to attribute a value measured in monetary terms.
The lagoon is 500 square kilometers. 43 square kilometers worth is salt marsh, which captures vast amounts of CO2. And the seagrass itself, it has been depleted, but there are incredible works in transplanting high-density areas of seagrass into low-density areas with an incredible success rate. So as artists and platformers, really what we hope to do is really to convey the great work that these scientists are doing. So we're proposing 2 parks for Venice. One is an extended walkway above the lagoon, so you can actually go and absorb the beauty of nature. And the other one is buying up depleted arable land and returning it to the wetlands it once was. So removing sea defenses. We wouldn't be able to do anything of this sort if it wasn't for our scientific partners. We just realized that in the UK alone, kelp capture more carbon than a rainforest. So we started doing projects in the UK. We actually got the politicians to pass the largest marine protected area in the UK in Sussex. That's 300 square kilometers, where no trawling vessel can ruin the seabed anymore. And that's a location for the ancient sea kelp forests of Sussex. And now, with a simple law, by banning the trawling, this seabed, twice the size of Paris, is coming back. Close by, at Palazzo Experimental, we have the opportunity of showing how artists physically feel about the environment. So what they've done is they donated large canvases. I think we have like 27 two-dimensional artworks and a series of very large sculptures. You know, some straight out of artist studios, vast, 300 kilograms of statuary marble, contemporary art by artists in the top galleries of the planet. And this is their gifts. I mean, if anyone wants to know how artists feel about the environment, these are testaments to it. We know so little about this greater environment that we're part of, and if Platform Earth can do something, is to assure everyone that we're here long term, that we have a 2030 goal and beyond. I think great projects need a vast amount of study and feasibility studies in order to enact them and implement them. So the idea of doing legacy parks is really something that we know that in 7 years' time, when these things are open to the public, that we will all know that we've done something actually really, really profound and great. We will be doing this every year, converting art, selling it to raise money for this much needed action in the lagoon.